I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.
So whenever we're talking about the compliance and everything for someone who just got started or they've been in it for a while, what's some of the biggest mistakes you see some of these people making whenever they first getting into this industry?
Oh man, you have people that you got some people that literally get into the industry, right? And they don't even know what type of application that they have to even have on file and that what have to be on the application. Something as simple as that. When they hire somebody.
Can you go a little bit deeper into that?
Okay, what an application that you got to have on file, right? You got to ask for certain information. You got to ask for at least 3 years of their employer, right? Their previous employer, at least 3 years of that. You got to, 3 years of their actual driving history with their violations and stuff. And then of course, you got your standard, they read their previous residencies and stuff like that. So once you obtain the last 3 years of their employers, you have so many days within the day that you got that application where you have to reach out to those employers, and you have to make an attempt, give it, they say great fate, but they don't necessarily say 3 attempts, but they say great fate within a 30-day period. So I tell people 3 attempts, showing that you reached out to them so you can get information about that particular driver that you're hiring. And you want to get like their safety performance history from their previous company.
And you mentioned in there before that you said FMCSA. I want people to know who that is, because I don't know what the acronym is. So who is FMCSA?
Federal Motor Carrier Safety Alliance. Those are the people that actually regulate trucking. They write the laws. They do everything. If you anything to do with trucking, they the laws, the regulations, everything. You get your DOT, all that US DOT number. You get your authority. You do everything through FMCSA.
Okay, and yeah, that's why I guess kind of the next question that I had for you was like for somebody that is just getting started or somebody that would want to get into this industry, like what would be some of the steps that they would take to make sure that they're getting everything lined up correctly and they remain in compliance?
The biggest steps, if you want to know what those large companies do, they end up finding people like myself or companies that specialize in compliance. They can keep them, in compliance, because there's no way in heck that you going, like, if you're running a trucking company, right, and you got one truck and just doing the back office, that's like a whole job by itself. The compliance, the back office, that's a whole job by itself. That ain't even talking about, you booking your own loads. That ain't even talking about you trying to manage your drivers while they out there on the road, and you looking at ELDs and all that. That's like literally ELDs is an electronic logging device. That's basically when you out there and you're on the road driving, you have a certain amount of time that you are able to drive in a day.
The trucking companies, they go to compliance people to make sure that they have their papers and all that good stuff in line.
Most of the ones that want to be successful, they make people like me and my team they best friend. Yeah, they like, hey, I need to have you on speed dial. Yeah.
Like with the compliance, because I know we had talked about it like the other day, like you told me there's some people they losing, like they might make 20, 30 bands a month, but once they get hit with some of these fees, like you can go negative really, really quickly. Can we talk about some of these fees that you could get hit with that would actually mess up your whole business model?
Example, right? You out on the road. Like I had a actually, I'm scenario today. I had a buddy. He got stopped. His tire on his trailer, the inside tire, it was less than the PSIs on the sidewall, and basically it was deemed as inflated, and it was an out of service tire, right? And guess what? 9 times out of 10, all this guy needed to do was just air that tire up some, and then he'd be back rolling. So they put him out of service. So one, with them put him out of service, right? He got a load on his truck. Now he's not gonna make it to that load. to deliver it on time. So 9 times out of 10, that load may have to get pushed back to the next day, or it may not be able to get delivered the next day. It may get pushed back to 4-5 days from the day that's supposed to be delivered. So guess what? Now you can't even make money. You stuck on this load. The broker didn't fine you because you didn't make the delivery on time, and then you didn't got fined by DOT roadside from having an inflated tire, right? And then now you got to call for roadside assistance to come out to air that tire or change that tire. They're gonna automatically bill you probably $200-300 just from coming out there. And then if they do come out there, right, and they need to change that tire, right, because they come to you and they know you need their tire, right, they're gonna tax you. A tire that you can probably get for $250, you're gonna probably pay $500 for.
Because you needed to make that load.
Yeah, you need it. You need it to move around. In addition to that, now you got this inspection report that was performed on you by DOT. They put you out of service. They put that on your company's profile. Now you got brokers later on down the line. They don't even want to give you work because they saying, yo, you got put out of service. Your safety score is high. Now it come up time for you to actually renew your insurance. Your insurance see that. So now they want to charge you higher on renewal. They want to ask you for an extra down payment. Now you got a driver that worked for you. He pissed because he like, man, this could have been prevented. Or he feel like that you as an owner, you ain't done nothing to try to move this truck. They already know if they ain't delivering loads, they ain't getting paid money. You know what I'm saying? They get paid off the loads or, how many miles, a percent, miles. So now they pissed. So now it's potential that you could lose a driver. So it's like a domino effect. So you look up, right? That one incident can potentially cost you $5,000-6,000. Now on the front end,
flat tire.
On the front end, you're gonna have to probably pay, about $500 to have them come out and switch out that tire, right? But then later on, what people don't talk about is they don't talk about how many people may reject you later on. You may call in to get a $2,000 load. They're paying $4 a mile. And then they tell you, oh man, we seen that you just recently got inspected and put out of service. Nah. Now you done lost out on $4 a mile, $2,000 load. So that's the stuff that don't get advertised on how important safety is when you out there and knowing how to properly inspect your truck, knowing how to keep your paperwork up. Like you got FMCSA that have violations and fines where if you got paperwork issue, right? And just say, for instance, you started your company and you didn't even interview your driver and have him fill out an application.
You just put him in the truck.
You just put him in the truck, right? And all of a sudden they audit you 6 months later. They can, if they want to, they can potentially fine you $1,300 a day.
God damn.
A day. For that error.
Is it like can it cap off how much they can fine you?
No, ain't no cap. Ain't no cap. Let's not talk about a fatality accident, right? Yeah. Your company made millions of dollars, right? You done made $1 million last year. Now all of a sudden you hire this driver, boom, the driver get into a fatality accident, right? Most of these insurance policies out here, FMCSA require you have $750,000 policy, right? Most of these brokers, they require you have $1 million policy, right? A lot of these companies like Amazon and stuff like that, they require you have a $2 million policy, right? Do you think you killing somebody was all they gonna get is $2 million or $1 million?
Hell no.
They're gonna sue you for a lot more than that.
Right.
The breadwinner, especially out of the family.
Right. So guess what happened? They sue you. Because remind you that insurance that insurance policy you have, it cap out at $1 million or $2 million. So now if you didn't get sued for $5 million, $6 million, that come out of you. That come out of you. So now for the rest of your life, every income tax you try to file, your return go to that family.
And this all falls on the owner, not the driver.
No, it fall on. Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff will fall on the driver too, if they want to deem that you was being negligent. And you can face up to jail time. Yeah.
You touched on another thing in there too. I always see them when we pass on, like you're driving on the interstate, those inspection places. Can you talk more about like what actually goes down for an inspection for one of these vehicles?
Yeah. Okay. They pull you in, right? First and foremost, they're gonna ask you for your paperwork. your paperwork inside your binder. They're gonna ask you, they're gonna look at your truck and trailer registration paperwork, make sure that this stuff is up to date. They're gonna look at your truck and trailer inspection paperwork, make sure that the stuff is up to date and that you have the correct inspection. Because you got some people out here, they just go get a state inspection when you need a federal inspection. They have a code on it that say CFR like 390 some, but it have to be that particular inspection. So it's two different type of inspections. When you go get a regular state inspection, that's not a correct inspection. So you would be held, basically, that would be two different violations. So just FYI, right? So from there, then they're gonna look at your ELDs. Typically, they go back 7 days from the day that they stop you. They want to make sure that you have that you're in compliance with everything within your ELDs. If you got a truck and trailer number, that have to be recorded inside the ELDs. You carrying a load, you got a bill of lading, that bill of lading number have to be recorded inside the ELDs. And then it's a bunch of prompts and stuff, right? And that stuff had to be filled out. If your bill of lading say you're going from Dallas to Houston, on your ELD you have a to and from location. You got to have that inputted, right? If you don't have that inputted, that's a violation.
Hey, I remember. I know one word that you just said, the bill of lading, because I used to work at this at a port, and we would mess with the fracking sand. So we had the belly dump trucks, and I remember I used to have to record that. That's like one of the only things I remember, that damn term. But I was working like night shifts and stuff over there.
Right. Yeah. So it's a lot of information that have to be in there, right? In the bill of lading. And then in addition to that, the ELD, that system is actually hooked up to your engine. So it's capturing data. It's capturing data, right? So when it's capturing that data, the government, they come in and the auditors come in and they audit your company, and forbid if you was in a serious accident or something, they're gonna ask for that information. So if your driver is out there and speed limit shows 60 miles per hour, and that ELD is captioned that the speed limit was 60, and your driver's going 75, even though he never got stopped, right? And it's showing him at 75 and a 60. The ELD is capturing that. So now the auditors come in on the back end, they like, damn, your driver, that's all he do is speed.
Another fine.
God damn.
You got to be careful with who you are in this industry.
Oh yeah. And they fines, they got fines as high as 15,000. I didn't seen people literally make $1 million and turn around and have a $250,000 fine where they paying the government monthly just to stay in business, because they got to pay off that fine. That fine is a civil fine. So that's why I preach how important it is to educate yourself about safety and compliance. In addition to that, if you go to FMCSA website, they don't talk about scaling a company. They don't talk about buying trucks.
They just talk about the rules.
They just talk law. They talk about the law, and they know that a lot of people gonna get into this industry and they gonna jump in it, and they not gonna be educated. They already know, the average driver got an eighth grade, education. The people that write the laws have PhDs. Come on, man. In addition to that, it's a business. At the end of the day, government is still a business. So yeah, they're gonna make it real simple and easy to get in, but they're gonna make it hard to stay in though.
You mentioned something. I believe what was the figure you said specifically? How many trucking businesses end up failing in the first few years?
Like 85%, they go out of business within the first 2 years. Like 85% of the trucking companies. Yep.
That's
they jump
crazy.
in, and a lot of folks, nowadays, social media is really blowing it up. Truck, go get a truck, go get a truck, go get a truck, go get a truck.
You can make a bunch of money.
You can make a bunch of money with a truck. Yeah. Yeah. When people tell you that they made $100,000 in a month, right? And all they had was 5 trucks, that's a lie.
They're talking gross.
Yeah. They're talking gross. That's a gross number. So, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. There's been times where I did 30,000, then all I walked away with was 8. Yeah, I just had a good friend of mine that she had 4 trucks that went into the shop the other day, and her balance was down at 19,000 on 4 trucks.
God damn.
It's a big money industry, but it's a lot of
big boy industry, man.
It's a lot of expenses associated with this industry. So
yes.
Now I want to ask you, so like as a person in the trucking industry, what do you say like it would be like a wise savings figure? Because you a saver yourself, like for those types of expenses. Because you know these trucks they gonna break. Like it's gonna have some issues. You might have drivers with these fines. Like, what do you think is a good rule of thumb to save from?
Folks, the cost of an overhaul of an engine. If your engine go out, it typically gonna cost you between 10 to 20,000 to get fixed. So give or take, I always tell a person, try to have about 25 bands in a savings account for any type of situation that occur.
Now, for somebody starting out that is just getting into it, how do you think they like save a certain percentage or something like that of each haul, or like how would you do that?
Just pay yourself like an employee. Pay yourself and then put everything back. So, what I'm saying, give or take, like I would use myself as an example. I would just pay myself $500 a week per truck. And then everything else I just put back into the company. And then from there, you just, you bonus yourself every quarter. You just bonus yourself. So you see what the company then done over 3-4 month span, and then you just pay yourself a bonus. And then that way, you always stand ahead of the game. You want to stay, 2 and 3, steps ahead of the game. You don't want to, be out here spending all your money, because what people got also, they got to understand this. Every time that truck starts and move, it's getting older. So if you made 100,000 in 2020, 2021, you may make only 80,000, because that truck may have to go in the shop a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You may start having issues with the driver. He not, coming to work or stuff like that. So every year your truck you're gonna depreciate even your income gonna depreciate.
So how long do you typically keep a truck? Like how long does a truck normally last? Because we know sometimes depending on your haul, sometimes you got to go coast to coast. Sometimes you driving like 16, 12 hours. My stepdad, he's a truck driver.
Yeah.
Every week he going to Wisconsin or somewhere.
Typically with most trucks, they say you're gonna get at least 1,000,000 miles. I mean, honestly, you got
Per
trucks, no, 1,000,000, like
altogether.
altogether.
Oh,
Yeah, you
okay,
get like
yeah.
1,000,000 miles. So, give or take, I just tell people that it all depends on the person himself and the person that's driving that truck, how you service and maintenance your truck, how you do the preventive maintenance. Because I know people that, they trucks and stuff, they've been riding over 1,000,000 miles right now, and they hadn't had to do anything to the engine, anything like that. They had breakdowns, but it wasn't, nothing, out of the norm. It was like the normal truck breakdowns where you're gonna spend 4 and 5, 6,000. In addition to that, shit, hey, if you ever get broke down over the road, man, just understand that you about to get taxed, especially if you black.
Damn. Can we talk about some of those normal expenses? Because once again, I used to work at Napa, and my Napa, it was a truck. Like we service the truck stuff, so I know that some of the stuff is you got your boosters. You had to get the boosters, the airbags. You got some of your what is they call them damn governors and all of that other
Yeah.
crazy stuff. Like, so what's some of the normal expenses you can expect though on just a truck working?
Most of the normal expenses is gonna be your oil changes, your belts, your fluids, um, um, your tires, definitely your tires and stuff like that. Those are just like normal, normal wear and tear, that you're gonna deal with. Occasionally, you have your airlines and stuff, that you may have to, basically fix from time to time, air pressure, airlines. But them tires and stuff, you just can't really escape that stuff. You look up a set of tires, just say what 2, 4, 6, 8, shit cost you down there like 16, almost 2 grand.
Sheesh.
But
God damn.
it's the cost of doing business. And I'm glad we speaking on this because that's what people need to know if they want to get into this industry and they want to stay there. Because you can't come in here thinking like, and this is just a business thing in general. You can hear a business making 20, 30, $40,000 a month. The person that's running this business is not taking $40,000 and putting that shit in their pocket. You need to understand that like it's gonna be expenses associated with business, and you got to look at your profit margin, and then even from your profit margin, you can't take all the profits and put them in your pockets. That's not a sustainable business.
Right, right. And most of the time, give or take, I tell a person for every 5 trucks, your take home should be about $250,000 for every 5 trucks after you paying expenses and all that. Saying you should walk away with about $200,000 to about $250,000 for every 5 trucks.
I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.